It is Thursday, September 9th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, a confused man trapped in a bastion of common sense. Or is that the other way around? J.P. Shadrick.
I lost track, I'll say that. Welcome in to Jaguars Happy Hour on this Thursday afternoon. Glad you're along with us today. J.P. Shadrick with you, and we've got a busy show ahead, a busy couple hours ahead, in fact. A Week 1 preview of the Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up this Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. We'll preview that game, of course. Trevor Lawrence making his debut, as is head coach Urban Meyer. We'll hear from Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, and Joe Cullen, the defensive coordinator. Both of those guys talk today. CBS sports analyst Adam Archuleta is on the call this Sunday. He'll join us about 4:15 or so today. And Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman jumps on at 4:25. Then at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network, it is the season debut of the Urban Meyer Show. The head coach scheduled to join us at 5 o'clock today. Let's recap the week. Let's start with Urban Meyer. Back on Monday, setting the tone for the week ahead in week number 1. Confident in the operation of the organization heading into the week. This week important, of course, but in a little different way than it was back in college.
Certainly in college, it's a March Madness. It's just a little different that you can't lose a game in college, and professional football reality is reality. But yeah, heck yeah, this is a tone setter. This is a setter for everything. But it's also the first game.
Yeah, so obviously back in college, you lose one game. Ask Clemson. You lose one game, and your chances of getting to the college football playoff have gone way, way down. They are minuscule, in fact. Clemson has to run the table right now, in fact, to do that. Well, in the NFL, you lose one game, there are 16 more to go, and it's all about standings. There are no rankings. You don't have to impress any voters, any of that. But obviously, it is a big game for Urban Meyer. It's his first NFL game. He's getting ready to put it on display for the first time for a lot of people that may or may not believe that he can do it at the NFL level. So I'm sure at some point, deep down, he's ready to go out and put a good performance together for this football team. The Jaguars named captains this week as well. 7 captains named by the Jaguars. Urban Meyer announced them, but they were voted on by the team. 3 on offense, Marvin Jones Jr., the wide receiver, Trevor Lawrence, the rookie quarterback, and center Brandon Linder is the first Jaguars player to have 5 straight years of captaincy, so he has the full gold C on his jersey this year. On defense, there are 4 captains, Josh Allen, Shaquille Griffin, Rayshon Jenkins, and Miles Jack, who spoke with the media this week. It is an honor for the 6-year linebacker.
I just feel like it's one of the highest honors, especially in the NFL. I mean, a lot of awards can kind of be skewed, but to be in your building and have people, feel like you deserve to be a captain, I truly appreciate it. And especially with the new faces and there's so many new guys. It's a brand new team. So I guess to just kind of have that kind of respect and, people think that highly of you, it means a lot. So
Meyer said the other day that Miles Jack was the leading vote getter of all the votes for captain for the Jaguars this year. Now, remember, the Jaguars last year actually had 8 captains on the team. Urban Meyer says in the past he's always wanted a bunch of captains around, so they have 7 on the roster this year. And another one of those captains, as we mentioned, is rookie quarterback Trevor Lawrence. It's his first start in the National Football League in the regular season. This coming against the Houston Texans, and Trevor discussing earlier this week what to expect from the Texans defense.
This won't change every week, but just do what I do. Don't try to do too much. That's the thing. I got great players around me. Just trusting those guys, trusting Coach Bev, Coach Scottie, everybody to put me in a good position, which they have, and just go and play. But as far as defensively, just a really sound defense. They don't try to necessarily trick you. They don't have a bunch of crazy looks and all these different coverages. They keep it pretty simple, but the tough thing about that is when you keep something simple, everyone's exactly where they're supposed to be, so it makes those windows tighter. They do a really good job when they play man coverage of not giving up big plays, so that'll be a challenge. But definitely like what we've seen from our group. But yeah, they do a good job, zone eyes, really good job reading the quarterback. Like they've forced 10 turnovers this preseason. which is 3 games. That's a lot of turnovers. So that's one thing that jumps out off the page when you're looking at just their stats. But just the way they fly around has been impressive to watch.
Trevor Lawrence, the first overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, and in the common draft era from 1967 through now, there have been 25 first overall pick quarterbacks selected. In their first career NFL start, they are a combined 4 wins, 20 losses, and 1 tie. The wins, Jim Plunkett in 71, Elway in 83, Michael Vick in 01, and the last to do it was David Carr with the Texans in 2002. The lone tie, Kyler Murray in 2019. And a lot of the performances, as you would expect with the number 1 overall pick, a lot of times don't have a lot of personnel around number 1 pick. There's a reason the team is picking number 1 overall. This one feels a little bit different, though. There are a lot of players back from this 2020 team that went 1-15 on the offensive side. A veteran offensive line they have confidence in. They've added a tight end to the mix to run block in Chris Manhertz. They've got wide receivers, the top 3 they're very confident in, and DJ Chark will be healthy and ready to go. The running back returns, they've added a couple to that room as well. So this has maybe a little bit of a different feel, a fully revamped defense to go along with that. We just don't have an idea what it's really all going to look like yet. We'll find out coming up on Sunday, and hopefully he can buck that trend of number 1 overall pick quarterbacks struggling early in their rookie seasons. Now on to Jaguars offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell, ready to push the buttons and get this offense moving, and discussing Trevor Lawrence earlier today.
Really comfortable. I mean, I'm excited about his progress, and it's been a daily thing, and it still is a daily deal for him. He puts a lot of effort and time into it. He really works his tail off. There's so much that the quarterback has to do, and we take off of him as much as we can. We're very fortunate that we have a veteran center, in Brandon Linder, who can take some of that stuff off of him. But ultimately, it always falls back on the quarterback. So where he's at right now, I'm really excited about.
Good spot to be. Good offseason for Lawrence, of course. All positive reports and grades throughout the offseason, preseason, training camp, the entire thing. And that continues now heading into week 1. Well, he also has to have somebody to throw the football to. He hasn't really had a deep threat, Lawrence, in the preseason, at least until the final game when they signed a couple of guys to bring in to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. One of those should be back this week, DJ Chark Jr. Big year for Chark. It's his 4th year contract season for him. And we heard from Bevell today as well. What does DJ Chark bring to this Jaguars offense?
It's huge for us. I mean, he's a veteran player. He's a Pro Bowl player, brings great experience to us. I mean, he really has been working his tail off. And it's unfortunate that he hurt that finger because he missed some of the time. But these last, I would say, 3 days, he's really kind of hit his stride again. He's got his speed back. He looks really good moving down the field. So I'm excited with him and Marv and Laviska.
Pretty good trio there, and that's the idea, at least, on offense at wide receiver. Let's move now on the defensive side of the ball. Joe Cullen, ready to dial it up for the first time as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League, a long time in this league as a defensive line coach, now gets an opportunity, and his first opportunity will be against Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback for the Houston Texans. And Cullen dug deep during the research of Taylor.
The big thing is when he can make the deep throws. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He can win the game with his feet if they elect to do that. And we got to do a great job. So when we went back to all his time at Buffalo, we opened the season with him when we were at Baltimore. And the biggest thing we want to do is make sure we kept him in the pocket because that's where he was beating people. So we just go back to see not necessarily the plays, and then we looked at the playoff game here. And they were doing a lot of Buffalo was doing a lot of similar things that Houston's doing, booting them out, sprinting them out. So we went back to those 2 games.
So you did the playoff game the Jags played against
the
him?
Jags and when Baltimore opened against them.
Digging deep, they're hoping the pass rush can kind of keep him contained. Tyrod Taylor, a 6th-round pick by the Ravens back in 2011. That's a while ago now. He's just kind of hung around the league. He's had some moments, plenty of starting time. In the regular season against the Jaguars, he's played in 2 games with 1 start. He did have that playoff start for Buffalo after the 2017 season, the AFC wildcard playoff game. The Jaguars defense was strong, really strong in that game. He had a regular season start against the Jags in 16 with Buffalo. and was 12 of 18 passing in that one, was sacked 5 times. That is a while ago, though, of course, even back to that playoff game after the 2017 season. And we'll see what this defense looks like. A revamped group up front. Can they stop the run? That's a big question this week. The Texans have a stable of veteran running backs behind Tyrod Taylor to work with. And, guys who've been around the league for a while. Rex Burkhead in his 9th season. Mark Ingram in his 11th season in the league. David Johnson in season number 7. Philip Lindsey is one of the youngins of the group, and he's in his 4th year. And he's had a lot of success in the National Football League. So that is a veteran running back room. We'll see what kind of rotation the Texans have and if this Jaguars run defense is fixed. Only one way to find out. That's to go out there on Sunday and line up against the Houston Texans at NRG Stadium. Plenty to get to. We'll come back in a moment. Adam Archuleta, CBS Sports analyst, will join us. Season tickets, single game tickets, group tickets. Be a part of the new era of Jaguars football and own it. Visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We're off and running. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday afternoon on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. And by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to TitosVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. TitosVodka.com.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing workforce solutions companies in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI has the resources necessary to scale with any enterprise, yet they are small enough to maintain the agility, personal service, and remarkable experience they've become known for over the past 3 decades. This is your workforce and your business reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com to learn more.
Hey Jaguars fans, it's always game on with Dunkin's $2 medium hot or iced coffee Tuesdays for rewards members. The NFL season is more than just what happens on game day. That's why Dunkin' wants to get you through the game week too. During football season, the best call is always Dunkin'. Whether it's the morning after a late night game or getting hyped for the week to come, pick up a cup of your favorite coffee and tackle the day with Dunkin'. Join today and order ahead of the Dunkin' app. Jacksonville Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Exclusions apply. Participation may vary. Limit 1 per week.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the trucks of the future for everyone. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 44 years straight. Built for performance and capability on and off-road. Because the trucks of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford F-Series. Drive one today. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Jacksonville Sports Talk for Jacksonville sports fans. 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday afternoon. JP Shadrick with you. Coming up in just a few minutes, Jeff Lageman will join us Jaguars analyst. And then at 5 o'clock, the Urban Meyer Show makes its season debut on the Jaguars radio network. That's coming up in just a little bit. The Packers and the Saints are coming up this Sunday at TIAA Bank Field. It's a 4:25 kickoff time. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com or through the Jaguars ticket office. Call 904-633-2000. Parking is first come, first serve, but it's $30 per vehicle. And I was out there today, and they have painted the field in Saints colors. The end zones have the Saints word logo in the end of it in Saints script. And there's a fleur-de-lis on the 50-yard line. And there will be much more to come before Sunday's game at the bank. And the way I understand it, they'll take that all out and get ready for the Jaguars in Week 2 when the Jaguars host the Denver Broncos for their home opener. Adam Archuleta has been on NFL and CBS analyst since 2013 and now is in his second season working with the veteran play-by-play man Greg Gumbel. Archuleta, we spoke earlier today, had plenty of thoughts about the debut for Meyer and Lawrence, a revamped defense for the Jaguars, and Adam Archuleta has seen some Jaguars football games over the years. With the call on CBS Sports this Sunday as the Jaguars face the Houston Texans, it's analyst Adam Archuleta, our good friend who knows the Jaguars well. Great to see you again, and happy kickoff weekend.
Yep, it's good to be back in the saddle. That's for sure. It's always interesting after going 8 or 9 months in between doing games and just getting back into the swing of things. But there's nothing like the start of football season, whether you're playing or announcing. It's a great time.
The Jaguars are currently, Adam, on a 15-game losing streak, unfortunately. That's got to end at some point soon. It's a new era of Jaguars football, new coach, new quarterback, brand new defense. I mean, you've been covering Jaguars games for a long time on CBS. You started with the NFL on CBS in 2013. It has been quite a journey for this organization from that time to now, and hopefully it's the start of a brand new future.
You're right. I've seen the Jaguars go through big ebbs and flows from Gus to Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin and now Urban Meyer. I've seen, as you guys have, a lot of different quarterbacks that were supposed to be the answer. But I got to say, if you want to be optimistic, and you are optimistic, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Trevor Lawrence is now your quarterback. If he can't do it, I don't know who can. So, it's going to be a bumpy season. There's going to be ups and downs. On paper right now, he has everything that it takes to be that guy for you guys. So the enthusiasm is well-deserved.
Urban Meyer spent the whole offseason, Adam, trying to establish the culture here. I guess the question is, how do you know when a culture is established? When do you stop pressing the gas pedal on that car and just get to going week to week and coaching football games? Or is it a constant evolution and reminder of what the culture should be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you're always toying with it. And I think when you get a locker room and the same message, it becomes stagnant and it becomes on repeat, then you start to lose things. I think culture certainly, it starts with being able to draft and develop your young talent, right? And not have to go out and really stock your team with a bunch of different free agents. You need those pieces, sure, but the culture really comes from getting those young guys. And one thing, I mentioned Gus and I mentioned Coughlin and Marrone, very different personalities, very different cultures. Both are successful. To me, what it comes down to as a player is very simple. If I buy in to what you're teaching me and I see the result on the field, meaning I make more plays and I'm having success, then I don't really care what kind of coach you are. I don't care if you're positive like Gus or authoritative. I don't care what it is, because the bottom line is, if I buy into you, am I a better player at the end of the day? And if these coaches and this staff can instill that in the players, well, then your culture is going to be just fine. But players are really good at sniffing out, like, if you're a phony. And if I buy in and then I'm not getting rewarded, well, then all of a sudden, now we have a problem. So I think that's really what it comes down to. And look, not to say that the previous two coaches didn't do that, because they are wildly successful, right? It just didn't translate to getting it done on the field.
Adam Archuleta with us. You touched on Trevor Lawrence. He's the number 1 overall pick, and historically, number 1 overall picks struggle from time to time in their first year, and a lot of rookie quarterbacks do. It's just the name of the game. This one feels a little different coming in. There's a lot of guys back from a 1-15 football team on this offense. The entire line is back. Couple receivers, the running back. You're plugging in Trevor Lawrence. Can they lean on him right away and open up this full playbook, or do you work him into it as the weeks go along?
Well, I don't really think that you can really, throw the kitchen sink. This is going to be a progression. And if you've been around the NFL, there are going to be ups and downs. And there's a good chance he might struggle mightily. The best example I think I can come up with to explain this process, and somebody I was completely wrong on, was Josh Allen. I did maybe 3 or 4 of Josh Allen's games as a rookie. I had severe questions. Where he had to come from. He was so raw. And he came from, I've never seen a quarterback come from that level of rawness, right? He made improvements in his second year, but I still had reservations. There was some basic stuff that he just wasn't getting. And I really, really questioned on whether or not, he was going to be an effective quarterback. And then all of a sudden, bam, right? And now this guy, it's legit. Like, it's the real deal, legit, bona fide guy. But it was a rocky first 2 years. You see it, the early success Baker Mayfield had when he came in, kind of took over and gave Cleveland a shot in the arm, gave him some energy. Then he struggled in year 2, and he had some questions. Kevin Stefanski comes in. You see last year he starts to turn it around and starts to make plays again. So I know we want to see Trevor Lawrence come out and just light it up and be on fire. Chances are that's not going to happen. But again, if he can't do it, I don't know who can. He might be maybe the most polished, guy coming out of college since Andrew Luck. And certainly Luck had some good times as a rookie. But you just got to ride the journey, and you just got to, be willing to take it, Jacksonville fans. Some great moments, some head-scratching moments. But that's the beauty of being a football fan.
Adam Archuleta with us. This defense last year couldn't stop the run at all, Adam. They were 31st in the league against the run. They made it a priority in the offseason, though, in personnel to go get a bunch of free agent players up front, a new linebacker. They added a bunch in free agency in the defensive backfield, put some draft equity into that, too. The question is, what is this thing going to look like on defense? First of all, it's a whole brand new scheme, 3-4. They're multiple, a new coordinator, so many new faces. I think that's the real question mark of this game on Sunday is what in the heck is this thing going to look like?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. It's funny because you go to the Texans side and they're almost swapping places. So the Texans were, extremely multiple and doing all that stuff with Romeo's influence. Now they go to, Lovie Smith, who keeps it more simple and gets guys to play fast. On the other side, if they're going to bring that Ravens kind of style that they're kind of known for, it's going to be extremely multiple, right? And so you got a coach that's coming from a place with a track record of doing 2 things, putting tremendous pressure on the quarterback and playing with an extremely physical style. I mean, that's been the Raven blueprint for years. Obviously they draft well, they get good players, they develop players. If it resembles anything like what they've been able to build in Baltimore, then I think it's going to be a treat. But again, these are 2 brand new staff, got a bunch of new players, a bunch of new faces. This thing is going to take time. They've had to rebuild this thing. But there's no doubt that up front is where it starts in the NFL. If you've got guys that can be physical and stuff the run, and then obviously get after the passer and harass him, that is really the first 2 ingredients that you need for a top-end defense.
Adam, it feels like a big year for Josh Allen. He missed a bunch of games last year, defensive end and outside linebacker now. A little different setup in this scheme for him. What kind of year can you expect from Allen coming off? He's healthy now and all this new environment around him.
Well, yeah, it always comes down to health, first and foremost. And, that's the number one thing that can kind of derail a player who has a lot of promise and has some very early success, right? So, if he resembles anything like he was as a rookie, hey, lights out. Now, as a rookie, he was more of a situational guy, wasn't really a 3-down guy. And so he got a chance with a pretty good pass rusher on the other side to take some of the heat off of him, but now he's probably going to be asked to carry the load a little bit. Again, he is being taught and in a system that really has it dialed in on how they use the deep protection, how they get after the passer, how they manufacture rush. In order to do that, you've got to have a pretty disciplined secondary that can communicate, and not get mixed up and not give, free players or free access to some big plays. If their defensive coordinator's history is any predictor, they should be able to manufacture some pretty good pressures and put a guy like Allen in one-on-one matchups. And I expect that he's going to emerge as, that premier rushing end.
That's Adam Archuleta, CBS sports analyst. He'll have the call of the game this Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston, along with Greg Gumbel. A.J. Ross on the sideline for CBS. Always good to catch up with Arch. He's been covering Jaguars games a lot over the last 8 years or so, and always good to see him on Jaguars broadcasts. And you could almost call him part of the Jaguars TV network. He's been on so much on Jaguars games since 2013. Let's come back in a moment, and Jeff Lageman will join us and get us ready for Week 1, the Jaguars and the Texans. Check out the official Jaguars Podcast Network, a free subscription on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your pods. We have this show right after. We got Jaguars reporters, Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, Jags Drive Time. The Ozone Podcast is back tomorrow with special guest Malcolm Brown, defensive tackle. Give us that 5-star rating as always. A little later, 5 o'clock, the Urban Meyer Show. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to TitosVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. TitosVodka.com.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the trucks of the future for everyone. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 44 years straight. Built for performance and capability on and off-road. Because the trucks of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford F-Series. Drive one today. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
This is Ice-T, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday afternoon. Jaguars Game Day broadcasts are presented by ViStar Credit Union. Glad you're along with us today. JP Shadrick, our thanks to Adam Archuleta of CBS Sports. Jeff Lageman jumps in now, Jaguars analyst, and it is almost kickoff weekend. In fact, it starts tonight down in Tampa. The world champs get it going.
Yeah, I'm excited about that game. And everything that you read about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how much better they are this year, that's hard to imagine because they got on such a roll at the end last year.
Right.
If they're better than last year, look out. I mean, it's going to be a great team. And look, great way to celebrate their Super Bowl championship and also against America's team. I mean, what better way to start the NFL calendar?
Oh, the Jaguars will soon be America's team. Okay, they're the next.
If you win,
right?
you can become everybody's team. I mean, that's the fact. I mean, JP, you go back and seriously, you go back to the 70s. And when I was growing up as a kid, I grew up right in the backyard of the Washington Redskins, which is now the Washington football team. But in the 70s, who was really good?
Dallas.
Dallas was good.
Steelers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, I used to just love Jack Lambert. And they became kind of my adopted team, because they won. So, I mean, there could be little kids in Kansas and Pittsburgh that could become Jaguar fans if the Jaguars win. It's what it's all about. It's about winning.
Urban Meyer is set to make his NFL regular season debut this week. And, he said it the other day in a press conference that he's so detail-oriented when it comes to game planning and having every tip sheet I dotted, T's crossed, and everything. And he's really hard on his assistant coaches more than the players. So I'm sure this week, going into regular season week 1, they're probably getting a full glass of Urban Meyer, if you will, as he gets ready for a football game.
Well, look, that's the head coach's job. I mean, he basically holds his assistants accountable, who in turn have to hold the players accountable. And the best in the business at it is Bill Belichick. And when you talked to different people that played for Bill Belichick, that's the one thing that they always talk about is his attention to detail and how he never missed any situation. To where whenever they got into a game, they felt confident in what they were doing because they had practiced it. And there's not many coaches that ever miss all of the details in the National Football League, but Belichick is one of them. Can Urban Meyer be one of them? Well, his track record has spoken. He's one of the winningest coaches in college football history. Does that translate to NFL success? Not necessarily, but you certainly have. Look, if you stink as a college coach, there's probably not a real good chance you're going to be good in the NFL. So at least you know that he has the ability to be a good coach, and so there's excitement there.
Yeah, if you stink in college, you're not going to get.
You're probably going to stink
anywhere.
in the NFL.
You might not be in college that long either.
I mean, look, it's. I think leadership is it's incredibly important. But at the NFL level, leadership is not everything. You can have great leadership. Jimmy Johnson, great leader. Got a lot of respect for Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach. And he was able to do it in Dallas and do it at a level that was, at that time, he was the man. He was dominant. And then he goes to Miami, and it turns out a little bit different. It's the same thing with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was in Cleveland and wasn't able to do anything. But then once he got together with some great players in New England, namely Tom Brady, he was great. So you got to have both. And because there's been some great quarterbacks, and not many, though, that have not won, without, because look, if you're an owner of an NFL franchise and you asked that owner, and if you went to all owners in the NFL today and said, look, you got a choice. You can either have the greatest coach or the greatest quarterback. Who are you going to take? Greatest quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Those don't come around all the time.
All day long. Because that's what it takes, and the Jaguars have what many view as that he could be a great quarterback. And so this is where you get excited, JP. Because now the lights are bright, the games count, there's winners and losers starting tonight, and carrying on into Sunday. So you're going to see exactly where this football team stands, and you're going to see where their first overall draft pick, how he measures up. It's awesome.
I'm just going back thinking about the coaches that have made the transition and jump. We're talking about players. Jimmy Johnson had players because they had all the draft picks and traded Herschel away and all that. Nick Saban didn't have it in Miami. They couldn't get Drew Brees down there. The failed physical, remember?
Nick Saban, well, look, Nick Saban points to that as the reason why he lost. Sure. That's certainly
quarterback
part of it. You got to have a quarterback. Yeah. And would he have won with it? Probably would have won a lot more than what he did.
That's right.
Might have stayed in the National Football League longer, but Nick Saban did the wise thing, and he went somewhere where the field is never level, and that's college football. You can always out-recruit the other guy. That's a rare talent in and of itself. I'm not saying that anybody can go and win in college football because obviously that's not the case. But that's what makes football at the college level so much different than the NFL level.
Let's get to the quarterback now. Trevor Lawrence making his National Football League debut, and we asked Archuleta this a moment ago. Do you let him loose? Do you work him into the game plan slowly with some high-percentage throws, run the ball? What's the feel with Trevor?
I think you have to manage the situation, and I really felt that last year with Justin Herbert, the Chargers did and Anthony Lynn did, I think, a masterful job of managing him. And when people say, what do you mean by manage him? There were so many situations that the Chargers were in last year where you would think, okay, you got to let Justin Herbert air it out here. And the Chargers chose to call running plays where they would hand the ball off. So they tried to take as much pressure off of Justin Herbert as they possibly could, and it made it an easier transition for him. It allowed him to have the success, in my opinion, it allowed him to have the success that he did. If he didn't have that management of the exposure or his exposure, I don't think he would have done as well as he did. So how do you do that? First of all, you need to run the football well.
Sure.
That's a big part of managing your quarterback. So if you run the football well, you take a lot of pressure off of him. And if you're all of a sudden you run a first down play and you end up getting stuffed for a 1 yard gain, because I'm not going to say -1 because James Robinson never gets stopped for -1. So we'll just say it's a 1 yard gain. You can't be afraid to turn around and hand it off again, because you know what? Maybe you end up at 3rd and 4. Whereas if you throw an incompletion on 2nd and 9, you're looking at 3rd and 9. And 3rd and 9 is obviously not nearly as good as 3rd and 4. So you can't be afraid to hand the ball off on some 2nd and longs. And that's all part of the management. And one thing that, listening to Darrell Bevell today speak to the media, he talked about keeping Trevor Lawrence healthy and in the pocket. Urban Meyer talked about that this week, about how do we go about keeping him healthy? How do we go about helping him have success? And because, if you go back and you listen to some of my comments in the offseason, I thought that it would be easier to transition Trevor Lawrence into the NFL because they could utilize some of his mobility in some packages while he's learning to function in the pocket.
Right.
I get the impression now that I don't want to say they're saying essentially that they're not going to do that, but they're saying that we don't, they don't want to do it that way.
Yeah.
Which in the long run, that's probably the smart decision to make. But I think it's very interesting. How much will they actually let Trevor Lawrence run? How much will they incorporate that read option part of the offense into their offense that they're going to use at the NFL level? Because that doesn't work if the quarterback is not a legitimate running threat, the read option system.
That's right, because they can just focus on the back at all times, or the pass that comes off of it.
Yeah, so I think it's – and that's part of the curiosity about this opener. First off, there's always the curiosity about a first overall pick. But then for me, it goes beyond that. Are the Houston Texans the dumpster fire that everybody says they are? Are they going to be as bad as everybody says they are?
Right.
Are the Jaguars offense, are they going to not incorporate some of the read option stuff to make sure that they protect their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence? What will the offense look like? How will the offensive line perform? There's so many different questions that you're anticipating seeing the answers on Sunday, and I think that's what makes this game so unique.
If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. No wonder it's the official truck of the NFL and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. We're back in a moment, Logs, and we'll talk a little Jaguars defense.
And they had better tighten up their run defense this week.
We're going to find out real quick if they've got
because they got a stable of backs in Houston.
They do. We'll get to those guys coming up as well. And the injury report also has come out today. We'll get you updated on that when we return. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to TitosVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. TitosVodka.com.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel-Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com. Hey Jaguars fans, it's always game on with Dunkin's $2 medium hot or iced coffee Tuesdays for rewards members. The NFL season is more than just what happens on game day. That's why Dunkin' wants to get you through the game week too. During football season, the best call is always Dunkin'. Whether it's the morning after a late night game or getting hyped for the week to come, pick up a cup of your favorite coffee and tackle the day with Dunkin'. Join today and order ahead of the Dunkin' app. Jacksonville Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Exclusions apply. Participation may vary. Limit 1 per week.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony, Jaguars Today. All Jaguars, all NFL, all the time. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Thursday afternoon. The Urban Meyer Show coming up at 5 o'clock. Veterans choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov. A busy schedule at Daly's Place coming up tonight. Rod Wave. Tomorrow night, Sam Hunt. Trippie Redd the 18th of September. Carlos Santana and his band September 21st. 3/11 the 22nd. Tickets at dailysplace.com. I'm going to have to get Boselli to give me the couch for the Santana show.
He's got some connections.
I think he does.
I mean, that's like the Tony Boselli couch at Daly's Place.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much.
That would be a good one to see. I'm excited for the schedule coming up, and you should be too. October is even busier than that.
Good.
Everybody's catching up, Logs, because everybody's been off for a year and a half touring, and they're trying to all catch up now this fall, which is cool.
I love live music, and I love live music in smaller venues, and Daly's Place has got it going on now. It's a perfect place to. I mean, it's outdoors. I mean, a lot of people still kind of nervous about going inside. I mean, so it's outdoors. I mean, why not?
Love it. Here's the injury report presented by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Yesterday's report had Trey Herndon not practicing with a knee issue. Tyson Campbell limited with a calf issue, both corners, and that is the same designation today. The announcement just came down. Both were the same exact listing as yesterday. Did not practice for Herndon, limited today for Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, and Tyson Campbell hopefully will be fine. I think he's going to be a part of this defense this week. When they go to nickel, he's your nickel guy. I mean, will he move to the inside? I think that will depend on matchups. You know, if they want to have a guy that is longer than Tyson Campbell could be in as a nickel back, or if they want to have somebody that's maybe, you know, let's say, for example, Danny Amendola, who just recently signed with the Texans. Let's say he lines up in the slot. Maybe they feel better if they've got CJ on him. You know, I don't know, but you certainly have that flexibility.
Let's get into this Jaguars defense a little bit here. And to that point, Joe Cullen spoke today, Jaguars defensive coordinator, and said, you know, there's so many different packages and personnel groupings they can have on this defense. And
they really do.
And you obviously craft those, and his point was you craft them around the personnel you have. You don't just have, hey, we're doing dime no matter what. You have to have the right guys out there to be able to execute certain things, and it feels like they're going to really mix this thing up a lot.
Well, when he says they're going to mix it up a lot and they have all these different packages, you know, and I think the one thing that he said was very true. He said you don't run packages just to run packages.
That's right.
So you're running packages because there's a purpose to it. For example, let's say you want to have 4 down in your nickel out there. Okay, but the down and distance might be, you know, because you're facing the Texans, and the Texans are going to want to be trying to run the football quite a bit. So you're concerned about them maybe trying to run the football. Well, if that's the case, then you may end up having, let's say, Devon Hamilton at one defensive tackle and Malcolm Brown at the other defensive tackle, and then you might have Jahad Ward at one defensive end and Smoot at the other defensive end. That's kind of a big nickel package, right? Well, if it's all of a sudden you're feeling like they're going to really throw the football. Jahad Ward's now a 3 technique. Smoot might be a 3 technique, and then you got Kayvon Chazon and Josh Allen outside as your rushers.
Right.
You know, so I mean, there's a lot of ways to play a package, and there's a lot of ways to play. That's in a nickel package. It's no different playing in your base personnel. You have some flexibility there, and that's the one thing about this defense is that you have guys that can do multiple things, and the more each guy can do, the more flexibility that you have as a coach, and the harder it is for an offensive coordinator to say, hey, look, let's really attack this because they have that personnel grouping on the field. From the front 7, they can do a lot of different things out of that. So it's kind of hard to attack a certain area. But the one thing that I do know this week,
yes,
the Texans are going to come out and they're going to try to run the football. I mean, they're going to try to. I mean, it's not going to be just, okay, we're going to have a half-hearted dedication to it. It is going to be a full-blown, we're going to run the football and run the football and run the football and run the football and run the football, because they want to make sure that they can run the ball, play action. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, play action. Tyrod Taylor is at his best when he's moving. Yeah. Bootlegs, out of the pocket, play action. And they have a whole stable of running backs to help them run the football. They got 5 on the roster.
A bunch of older guys, too, guys that have been around the league for a minute,
either way. Just the sheer number that they have at that position ought to tell you where their thought process is from a game plan standpoint. If you've got 5 running backs, you're going to run football. If you've got 8 wide receivers, right, chances are you might want to throw the football a little bit. You know, so the Texans have revamped their offensive line. They went out and they signed Justin Britt as a free agent off the street. He's coming off an ACL that he suffered in 19. They moved Titus Howard from right tackle over to left guard, and they've moved some guys around. Andy Heck's son is out this week because of COVID, so could they have Marcus Cannon, who, you know, the former New England Patriot that opted out last year and who's been a good tackle in the league? I mean, so they have revamped their offensive line, added a stable of running backs because they will be committed to the running game.
And then Tyrod Taylor, we've heard from Joe Cullen today. We heard earlier in the week from Urban Meyer about the quarterback for the Texans in this week's game. He's been around the league for a long time, has had some success in his past, but has never really been a consistent starting quarterback in the league. Was it with the Chargers a few years ago where he was getting a shot in his ribs and
that was last year.
Punctured his lung, right?
It was last year.
That's when Herbert.
Yeah, he was getting ready to play in a game. He had a couple cracked ribs, and he was taking a pain-killing injection, and then the doctor, I guess, pushed the needle in too far. It punctured his lung, and there was major concern. They had to rush him to the hospital.
Right.
And he did not play again for the rest of the year. But he is a good, really good backup, Tyrod Taylor is. The one reason why they brought him, though, is because Cullen, the head coach of the Texans, had a relationship with him because they were together, I believe, in Buffalo back in 2017 when Tyrod Taylor was the starter there. So that's where that relationship came from. And I think originally they wanted to have Deshaun Watson there, even if or they wanted to have Tyrod Taylor there, even if Deshaun Watson was going to be the quarterback, because David Culley felt so strongly about the example that Tyrod Taylor sets. Well, then everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket with Deshaun Watson and the allegations and the demand that he wants to be traded and all that stuff happens. And so now you've got a guy that is, and I will tell you this about Tyrod Taylor. He is an average quarterback. That's what he is. I mean, average quarterback at best. He's probably might not even be an average quarterback. But if he gets out of the pocket and he creates what we call scramble rules or buys time outside of the pocket, then he becomes a dangerous quarterback because things become off schedule and he can make throws down the field. So what you want to do with him is keep him in the pocket, make him function as a pocket passer. If he gets out, that's where he can hurt you.
The Texans receivers are much different looking than they have been over the last few years around there. They have a lot of changes. Brandon Cooks is there now. Chris Conley is now in the wide receiver room. It's not quite as deep as it has been in the past there, obviously, when they had the bigger names that were in that room.
Well, Cooks has been all over the place. I mean, he's been traded like, 5 times? I'm just being kind of facetious there, but he's been traded a bunch.
It's his 4th team.
And when you've been traded a bunch, I mean, how good are you? I mean, that's a legitimate question. I mean, people that are great, they don't get traded like that. So he's not a number one wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, and he's got blazing speed, which is a concern. And the rest of them, we know what Conley is. He's a 3 at best, and super guy. Love him, and I think he's a stand-up guy that there is. He's big. He has some drops occasionally, as we saw when he was here. And then their third wide receiver was supposed to be Anthony Miller, who they got, I believe, from the Bears, and he dislocated a shoulder in the preseason, and he is not expected to play, I don't believe, this week. And so they go out there and they drive right down the road and knock on the door of Danny Amendola, who's from not far from downtown Houston, and say, hey, will you want to come to Patriots South? Because Cesario, the general manager, is from the Patriots, and Amendola obviously spent some time up there with him. And they're trying to create a culture there in Houston, so they sign Amendola to be a slot receiver. I'm not sure exactly why they would pay somebody who is in their 13th year, who was on the street, and nobody else was willing to sign. I don't know why they would pay him $2.5 million, but they did. And so once he's on this active roster this week, he's going to be guaranteed that money, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to why that they would do that. But anyway,
I don't think Danny's going to question it.
Heck no. I mean, he's happy about it.
Right.
But, I mean, look, again, this is about the running game. And this, I think, plays right into the Jaguars' hands. Because this defense that we saw in the preseason, as bad as they were last year in the league, as far as stopping the run, it appears that they have fixed that from what we saw in the preseason. And, yes, they weren't facing a lot of number one offenses, but, JP, what were the numbers?
They were very good, yes.
I mean, I think
to your point, though, they didn't play really a starting running back all preseason.
No. And who scares you with the Texans running back group?
Who scares me?
Yeah, does anybody scare you out of that group?
Not really.
Not really. So, I mean, that's, I think, a big part of it. I mean, the Texas running backs are, and first of all, a lot of people are calling the geriatric squad.
Are they?
Some are.
I will say they've been around the block a time or two.
Well, Ingram's in his 11th year. He's been around a long time, and I know he's from Alabama, JP, and I know you're a big fan of his. Burkhead's in his year number 9. He's been around the block a lot. David Johnson's been around for a while.
7th year.
Philip Lindsey, who was the undrafted guy that the Broncos got a couple years ago and then kind of flamed out a little bit as a small, shifty type of guy. So Scottie Phillips, I don't know much about him.
He hasn't played much.
But those other, the four main guys that we're talking about, I mean, have been around the league. They've been pretty good, or have been good at times, and I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. I would not be surprised. The one thing I would be concerned about, if I'm Joe Cullen, is what kind of packages are they going to have with multiple running backs on the field at the same time?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say you're concerned, but, I mean, you're just aware that they could do that. They could end up having, let's say, they got David Johnson lined up, split out in the slot, and then they've got Rex Burkhead also lined up in a slot, and then they got Mark Ingram lined up behind the quarterback. I mean, how do you match up? I mean, those are some of the things I think that you want to make sure that you're ready and prepared to handle.
You could see. You never know what you're going to see.
No.
In opening week, you just got to deal with. Sometimes there'll be a negative play. Move on. Get on to the next play, and try to make it a positive.
And I'm glad you kind of bring that up, because that's the one thing about opening day that is critical, in that there will be something that pops up on both sides. Now, I mean, from the Texans' perspective, and also from the Jaguars' perspective, and both sides of the ball from each perspective. That, let's say the Jaguars go out there and they see something that the Texans offense has never shown before, or something they didn't anticipate. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to adjust. The Jaguars offense may see something out of Lovie Smith's defense that they've never expected. But if they see it, then they have to adapt and adjust on the fly. And that's a lot of times what will happen on opening week, especially when you have two organizations that had significant change with the coaching staff and the player rosters.
So the Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up this Sunday at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. It's a 1:05 official kickoff time as the Jags get it started on the road. And again, the Packers and the Saints will be here at TIAA Bank Field, 4:25 that day. And I can't wait, man. I'm so fired up. This has been a fun off season. We've had a lot of fun off seasons around here, but it's now time to bring that to real football and see it between the white lines starting on Sunday.
JP, for me, the anticipation of going out there and just seeing 16.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's –
absolutely.
I mean, look, we saw the wow moments, the wow throws in preseason and practices where a lot of the fans, they don't get to see it. And we're trying to – when we've been telling them all along, there's right. Those 3 or 4 throws that you see in practice and you go, wow. Well, we were saying it, and then in the preseason we didn't see it, but Dallas, we kind of got a glimpse of it. We saw some of that.
Because they could actually throw the ball down the field in that game. They had some speed down the field, opened it up.
It was sharp.
Yeah.
So that's what we're hoping to see in Houston. And is it going to be perfect? No. But I'm excited. And I'm excited. And first of all, congratulations to the captains that were named this week.
7 of them, yeah.
All 7 of them in a very unique way. If you haven't seen it, go to Jaguar social media, Twitter, Instagram. I'm sure that that's still posted up there, and they can see it there. But pretty cool way of them showing that. And the captains are Marvin Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Brandon Linder on offense. And then on defense, you've got 4, Josh Allen, Shaq Griffin, Miles Jack, and Rayshon Jenkins. Congratulations to them. And a pretty cool honor. And I can honestly say that I don't know if there is a bigger honor in the locker room than being named a captain when you're voted on by your peers.
Were you a captain ever?
I was one of the first captains in Jaguars history.
You were? Okay.
I was.
Very nice. Very nice. That's a great honor.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, that's something that, you can always say. Look, I was one of the first captains.
Who were the others
in history?
You remember?
That's a great question. I have to go back and look. It's
been a little while.
Yeah, it's been
about 27 years.
You think?
So I don't know. Maybe it's been a minute.
It's been 27 years.
It has been.
Yeah, it's been a few. 26 years.
Congratulations to those guys. And, of course, the Jaguars and the Texans coming up. Looking forward to this game. Looking forward to Trevor Lawrence. Looking forward to seeing what Urban Meyer gets done in his opening game as an NFL head coach. All of that new on defense. What does it look like? What does it feel like? We're only a couple of sleeps away. It's coming.
Yeah, but the good thing is that they'll go pretty fast because we have Thursday night, opening night football tonight.
We do.
And then we got college football before we get to Sunday.
A lot of football coming up. We're back in a moment. on the network. The Urban Meyer Show for the first time in the 2021 campaign. This has been Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Own this thing. It's ours. Come on, let's go. Duval County and 904. Let's own this stadium. Make it ours.
Welcome to the Urban Meyer Show. Urban Meyer Show. Former Jaguar Jeff Lageman and JP Shadrick discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Urban Meyer Show starts right now.
Welcome into the Urban Meyer Show, presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. The Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up this Sunday, 1 o'clock at NRG Stadium in Houston. It is finally, at long last, here. What an offseason it's been. Urban Meyer hired. Free agency money flying out the door. They have the most cap money in the league right now, by the way, the Jaguars, but they did spend a lot. And the number one overall pick. They had another first-round pick. Unfortunately, he's not available. Off-season program. Here we go into training camp, preseason, and finally, at long last, regular season football is here.
Finally.
By
the way, I saw Travis Etienne he had the Liz Frank injury, and he was on a little scooter, where you put the one leg up like on the little bicycle seat, and then you scooch with the good foot.
Right.
I saw him going around, and it was good to see him. Looked like he was in good spirits and all that kind of stuff.
Good. Hopefully he's back and ready for 2022. That's he's done for the year this year. This is
it's like getting a Christmas present and being told that you can't open it until next year.
At some point, just get back healthy and be fine.
But we had two really big presents under the tree. Okay, one of them was Travis Etienne.
Right.
But the real big one was the first overall pick.
Yeah, that's the one you couldn't open until Christmas. They wouldn't let you open that one early. Like usually maybe the week of Christmas, hey, can I open this present? No, you got to wait. This is when you open that present. Trevor Lawrence will make his NFL debut this Sunday against the Houston Texans. And I'm curious the approach with him in this offense early. Do you manage it early? Do you run the ball a little bit more, give him some high percentage, shorter throws to get him in the game flow a bit, or do you just let it rip right out of the gate?
I think you go back and you look at Dallas, and that you're saying, okay, that's kind of the flavor, the tempo that we want with our young quarterback. Start early, easy completions, get the ball out of his hands, run the ball effectively, and then when we run the ball effectively, okay, now we can start taking a look a little bit farther down the field. But I think it's critical because, on an opening game, and this goes for college, little league for heaven's sakes, high school football, the first game always has that intensity, emotion. It's all kind of bubbling to the top. And so sometimes you want to get some of this stuff. Do you want to calm down a little bit?
Right.
You don't
just
want to
ran out of the tunnel. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, your heart rate's at 160 and you haven't even done anything yet. So you need sometimes to have a couple things to maybe let the blood pressure come down, to slow the heart rate a little bit, to let everything just kind of subside, and then kind of get into that rhythm. But I think it's going to be imperative with a young quarterback to have success running the football. And I think the Texans are going to take much the same approach.
Sure they are.
Not because they have a young quarterback, but because they have a quarterback who has been a journeyman. But the Jaguars having a young quarterback, and a lot of people say, well, he's never been at the NFL level and it's a hostile environment. Yeah, okay, great. Played at Clemson.
Oh, yeah, he's been in some environments
He's
before.
ready for this moment. So you want to do some things to help have early success, but you don't want to overdo it and handcuff him and not let him be him.
Let's get to this running attack, and obviously the coaching staff and personnel folks are confident in the offensive line. All 5 of the starters are back at the beginning of this season. They've got a veteran backup center in Tyler Shatley. They've got 2 youngsters at guard and tackle that they're really trying to develop as behind the starting group. So I feel like that's probably got to be the strongest strongest position group, I think, on the entire team right now because of all the veteran players they have at that group. That they brought everybody back for a reason. And that reason is they think they can run the football still.
That was the purpose.
Yeah.
But is that going to be the case?
Only one way to find out.
Well, you have to prove that.
Yeah.
And you have to earn that. And so when you say, is it the strongest group? I mean, physically, like weight room strong,
Oh,
sure.
yeah, sure. But
yeah, I mean
just in
guys,
terms
right?
of depth and
But
experience,
I get what you're saying, and that your expectation was that, okay, we have a young quarterback, and even though he's the first overall pick of the draft, many view him as a generational player, we still have to help him along and run the football and all that. Yeah, that's fine. But you have to still do that, and you have to get better as an offensive line group. Can they do that? Well, you'd like to be able to kind of reflect back at the preseason and say, well, you could see where they got better. But you didn't have that moment in the preseason because a lot of guys were dinged up or not playing. So can they do it? I think that's going to be one of the biggest tests. I think the quarterback and his completion percentage and his ability to make people better will help them. I think, honestly, that's going to be, we talk a lot about the offensive line helping a young quarterback, and that is true. You want the offensive line to help him by running the ball effectively. But there also needs to be help provided to the offensive line from the quarterback. And I think that's a two-way street, and I think it will happen because I think so highly of Trevor Lawrence. And I think that he is going to be an absolute joy to watch. I can't wait. This is the most anticipated moment in Jaguars franchise history, in my opinion. Name me another. Besides the first game in NFL history, okay, in Jaguars history, where Houston came to Jacksonville in 1995. Name me a more anticipated moment in this franchise's history.
I can't, at least in the 10 seasons I've been here, I can't, no.
Maybe the AFC Championship game.
A playoff game, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But besides that game, okay, which we lost up in New England, and which we lost, I wasn't a part of that team, to the Tennessee Titans here in the AFC Championship game. Besides those two
the
moments.
Patriots back a few years ago in 07
right.
and
Besides those 3 losses, where else? What else compares?
No, you're right.
Nothing compares. And so that's why this moment, I believe it's something that, get your popcorn ready, okay? Set your DVR or do whatever it is that you got to do because this is a big moment in franchise history. This is a big moment in the city of Jacksonville's history. You've got what many view as a generational franchise quarterback that's making his first start ever. And is this the moment that we look back on and we say, this changed the destiny of the franchise?
You might want to save the DVR on your TV if you're watching it.
Can you do that? I don't even know how to do that.
Well, that's what it's designed to do is to
yeah,
save
I know,
it
but how do
for
you
you.
like
I don't know
save
how long it. I don't know
how
long
does
it
it
saves.
last?
Can you download it?
If the DVR crashes, do you lose it?
Can we get some of our production folks in here to give us a heads up on that? We want to either way.
Can you put in an SD card in the DVR and save it? I don't know.
Just for posterity, you need it because this is going to be a big moment. For
Me
the
and you in
Jacksonville
tech.
Jaguars.
That's not our area of expertise.
No, but we'll come back and get into an area that is, for you at least, that's the defensive side of the football. What will they look like there? Check out the official Jaguars Podcast Network, a free subscription on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods. Give us a comment and a 5-star rating, and this is the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues, presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman, the Jaguars and the Houston Texans in Week 1 coming up. The Jags on the road to begin. Week 2, they'll be home for the home opener against the Denver Broncos. Well, this Sunday, by the way, the Packers and the Saints will play at TIAA Bank Field at a 4:25 kickoff time in Week 1.
You'll get to see some of that then.
Well, yeah, we'll be on post-game radio doing our local call-in show, the scoreboard show on our flagship station, 1010XL. That should be over by about the middle of the second quarter, maybe. And
well, you should be able to get a medium pass and then go
walk up the stairs
and
see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers versus Jameis Winston. Right here. Tickets are available, by the way.
Which is way cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were a Jaguars fan, what I would think would be a great way to spend a Sunday would be to come down here if the gates would open up at 1 o'clock, watch the game.
Yeah. The way I understand it, the Daly's Place will be open 1 o'clock.
That'd be awesome.
So that's cool.
And then stick around and watch Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's one of the great players in the NFL, and how many more years will he be playing for the Green Bay Packers? You don't know. And then it's obviously the debut of Jameis Winston as the starter for the New Orleans Saints. I think that would be pretty cool.
There are Saints graphics and words and fleur-de-lis all over the field right now. They painted the field today in Saints colors. So that all coming up this Sunday as well. Let's get to the Jaguars defense. We know about the new on the Jaguars offense, and there's, looking at it, there could be 8 starters back on offense this year, by the way, from that 1-15 team a year ago. The big difference is the quarterback, but it's a different story on defense. A lot of new, especially in the interior of the defensive line logs. The new linebacker as well, and Damian Wilson. We'll hear from him coming up in the Publix Tailgate Show.
I like him, by the way. I really like Damian Wilson.
And then you've got almost a full revamped secondary in the back end, too. So new coordinator, new scheme, all this is new. What in the world is this going to look like on Sunday?
I think it's going to look really good. I believe that because of the matchup of the Houston Texans offense. I think the Houston Texans offense with Tyrod Taylor and no Deshaun Watson are going to come out and try to run the ball. And they're going to stay committed to running the football, and that plays to what this defense is built to handle, which is a strong running attack. If you go back and you look at the preseason, the Jaguars' defense had no problem whatsoever handling the running attack of the opponent. Now, look, they didn't have some starters playing in a lot of cases, and I get that. But being committed to the run is a mindset, and the Jaguars are clearly committed to it, and they made a huge commitment in the offseason and free agency by bringing in better players, and that will help. The addition of guys by the name of Malcolm Brown, the development of Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson Harris, and then you add Damian Wilson in there at the linebacker, another bloodier-nosed linebacker to pair with Miles Jack. I mean, these guys can handle that. So I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Houston Texans.
Like that.
And then you have also a safety that can play down in the box, and Rayshon Jenkins, who did it very well, by the way, against the Cowboys. There's a little bit of intrigue as far as who's going to be the other starting safety. And my mind, I would, if I have a choice between Wingard and Cisco, I'm going with Andre Cisco. I'm committing to the rookie because I think he gives something that you didn't get in the preseason. Takeaways. You didn't get one.
That's right.
In the preseason.
Yeah.
Compare that with the Texans, who their defensive coordinator is Lovie Smith, and widely respected. Doesn't do a whole lot of fancy things, but the one thing he has always emphasized is takeaways. They had like 9 last year for the season, the Texans did.
Yeah.
In the preseason alone, the Texans had 10.
Man, that's amazing.
That is. They had 10. The Jaguars didn't have one. So my point with Cisco is that that's where you need to improve on that you didn't really do a great job of in the preseason with those impact plays where you affected the quarterback and made takeaways or created turnovers for your defense. That's something that was missing. That's something that has to get better.
It starts with pass rush, though. I mean, you're going to get those balls in the back end. Then you got to kind of get home at some point, stop the run, force those passing situations, and get that pass rush going on the outside. Josh Allen, Caleb Unchason, guys like that. That's it's time to get that moving again.
Well, you hope. I mean, that's going to be the challenge. I mean, really, that's the challenge for this defense this year. It's hard to go out in free agency and say, okay, we're going to sign this guy because he is a great pass rusher. I mean, how many great pass rushers have you been able to acquire in free agency? I mean, Calais Campbell doesn't just – there's not 10 of them walking around the street where you can just acquire them at any time.
True.
You know, so it's a very unique situation to be able to do that in free agency. And in free agency this year, there were not a lot of those types. But the types that they got were good, solid, strong run defenders that are going to make a defense get better and stopping the run to give yourself a chance in passing downs. Those are the players that they were able to acquire. So Josh Allen, Caleb Chazon, Jihad Ward has shown some flashes but never has had a lot of big numbers. Roy Robertson Harris needs to continue to develop and start to reach a higher level of play that he is capable now. But that's where it needs to come from. The edges have got to be able to force a lot of things for this defense if they're going to generate a dominant pass rush.
Let's come back in a moment. Plenty more ahead. The first edition of the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel-Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
A lot has changed in 60 years, but there's one thing that remains the same. Our commitment to our customers and to our community. There's no place like Jacksonville, and there's no place like Gate. Thank you for allowing us to serve you, past, present, and future. Now through August 31st, Jags fans can enjoy 2 of your favorite roller grill items for just $2 at participating Gate locations. Get them while they're hot. Gate, serving up more.
Scrubbing soon to a location near you. You know and love the Scrubble Stars at the Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. Now get ready for 4 new locations scrubbing soon this year, featuring Kernan, San Jose, Racetrack Road, and Oakleaf. Give your car the glitz and glam it deserves at the best car wash in town with free car prep, vacuums, window cleaner, and more. You can also catch us at every Jags home game and cool down at the Scrubby's Misting Arch. Drive in to see us now and in the future at our Scrubbing Soon locations. Scrubbles, trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
We're back. Glad you're along with us on the Urban Meyer Show. JP Shadrick with Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman. The Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up this Sunday. And Jaguars game day broadcasts are presented by ViStar Credit Union. Deshaun Watson is still a member of the Houston Texans, but he will not be participating in this weekend's football game against the Jaguars. And that situation has been topsy-turvy, to say the least, down in Houston.
It has been crazy. I mean, really. I mean, the whole situation is crazy. I mean, you have an offseason to where he wasn't included in the conversations about who was going to be hired as the next general manager, Jack Easterby. That whole thing came to light. I think it was an article by Sports Illustrated. The craziness that was happening in Houston. Well, then all of a sudden they hire a new coach, and then the civil and criminal allegations against Deshaun Watson happen.
Yeah.
Cesario, the general manager that comes from the Patriots, comes in, and they're telling people, they're not really giving them any update on what are they going to do with Deshaun Watson, and they're trying to trade him. And Deshaun Watson is there. He has a $10.5 million salary, and he's not practicing. He's not playing. One of the most interesting questions will be on Sunday from the Houston Texans' perspective, where's Deshaun Watson going to watch the game from?
It's a good one.
Will they let him?
I never really thought about that. Yeah.
Are they going to let him on the sideline? Is he?
Right. He'll be inactive officially.
Yeah, they've already said that he's going to be inactive, and they're trying to trade him. They're trying to gain what is reported of being 3 first-round picks and maybe a couple seconds or maybe a second in there with it. And, of course, nobody's going to trade for a quarterback who has some criminal civil litigation that's pending. And so it's like everything is just put on hold. And they're just going to pay him $10.5 million for one of the best quarterbacks in the league to not play this year, it's just awkward. And then to add to the Texans' awkwardness, I mean, so with the Jack Easterby thing, the Deshaun Watson, you go back, last year they traded away arguably the league's best receiver.
Hopkins.
And then just this week, they put their kicker on IR, and they've signed a guy to the practice squad, Joey Sly, who probably will have to kick for you this week. And then you trade your best cornerback and Bradley Roby, who you just signed last year. You trade him to the New Orleans Saints, and you pay $7 million of his $8 million and change salary to ship him off to the New Orleans Saints and get a third-round pick. So you essentially paid $7 million in cash to get a third-round pick. I mean, the craziness. If you're a Houston Texans fan right now, man, you're going through some stuff. I mean, and
right.
That'd be a nice way to put it, right?
I will say this. I mean, we've been at least around here on that end of things. Not quite to that
JP,
extreme.
It's not even.
Well, the losses have been there. The extreme
absolutely.
lows, let's say that. Not quite as weird as some of that stuff, obviously. But and the Texans have been at the top of the division for a long time. And they've been on top of this Jaguars team for about 15 years.
Well, they've certainly bettered this organization. I mean, the record speaks for itself.
Right.
I mean, the Texans have had great success against the Jaguars, and so in some ways it's almost you gain a little bit of pleasure from watching the dysfunction in Houston.
It's something.
But here's the thing. It doesn't feel good unless you beat them, right? I mean, you talk about all the level of dysfunction that they have in Houston. But if they beat you,
it's the same old story then.
you're
at
gonna
that
be
point.
like, wait a minute.
What all this?
What are
for
we
that?
doing?
What's going on
Yeah.
over here?
So it's going to be, and look, I think David Culley was the right coach for the situation in Houston to be able to handle some of this because, I mean, that's not an easy thing to handle. And Culley's got a lot of respect around the league. And then Tyrod Taylor, being a true professional, might have been the best option. So even though there's a lot of questions about the Texans and many people claim them to be a dumpster fire, they have made some good moves. And namely, in my opinion, the naming of the coach and then also bringing in Tyrod Taylor, who is a true professional, and that his reputation is impeccable from around the league. The way he handled the situations that he was put in different places. I mean, you go back and you think about how he handled the situation in Buffalo, how he handled the situation with the Chargers, how he handled the situation with Cleveland. I mean, he's one of the – I have so much respect for Tyrod Taylor for the true professional that he is shown to be in the National Football League, but that doesn't make him a great quarterback.
Battled through, stuck around the league, and is now finding an opportunity down in Houston. Let's take a timeout. Plenty more ahead. It is the opening edition of the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been around longer than your quarterback. When you put it on, everyone knows it's game time. So legendary, it deserves its own Hall of Fame. Members-only jackets, undeniable quality and style for over 45 years. Scratch and claw your way over to membersonly.com. Get ready for football season with a jacket that can only be summed up in one word: iconic. Use discount code Jaguars at checkout for 35% off on all iconic racer jackets. Members only. When you put it on, something happens.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk. Checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk. Checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
Really comfortable. I mean, I'm excited about his progress, and it's been a daily thing, and it still is a daily deal for him. He puts a lot of effort and time into it. He really works his tail off. There's so much that the quarterback has to do, and we take off of him as much as we can. We're very fortunate that we have a veteran center, in Brandon Linder, who can take some of that stuff off of him. But ultimately, it always falls back on the quarterback. So where he's at right now, I'm really excited about.
That's Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, speaking today. And speaking about Trevor Lawrence, who, as the preseason went along, got a little better. And then the final time out against Dallas, week 3 of the preseason, 11 of 12 passing, couple of touchdowns. And welcome back. This is the Urban Meyer Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman and Darrell Bevell speaking today. He was the interim head coach in Detroit last year. He's been an offensive coordinator in the league for a long, long time. So he understands how to get ready for a season, and he's worked with a lot of big-name quarterbacks in the past. I'm interested to see what this thing looks and feels like with him. His influence, certainly, Brian Schottenheimer working alongside. Urban Meyer's in the lab with him too. Don't mistake that. And then Trevor Lawrence, I'm sure, has a say in this whole thing also. But that's part of what Urban Meyer wanted to do when he was putting this staff together. Have a mix of some college coaches that he knew from the past or had relationships with somebody that strongly knew them for some of the position groups. But when it comes to coordinators, I think he really wanted to go after NFL-type guys. And Darrell Bevell is a guy who's been around for a long time.
Well, he's got a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And he's worked with some of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I think that's one of the main reasons why that he was hired. Because when you have a young quarterback, you want to make sure that you give that young quarterback all the tools that you can. And Bevell and Schottenheimer are both considered high-end quarterback mentors, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you can't draft somebody first overall and then not provide the best people around that talent to give him the best chance to succeed. And so that I think was one of the smartest moves that he made on his staff.
Let's come back in a moment. We'll hear from head coach Urban Meyer on the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio. Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the trucks of the future for everyone. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 44 years straight. Built for performance and capability on and off-road. Because the trucks of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford F-Series. Drive one today. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
The Urban Meyer Show presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman alongside, and we welcome head coach Urban Meyer on the program. Welcome to your show, Coach. How's it going?
Good to be with you guys. It's going very well.
Urban, this week the Houston Texans, and much like they facing you, you're facing them with a staff that's got a lot of newness to it. How much does that kind of play into your game plan this week with some maybe things that will be unknown in the opening week?
I think regardless of the coaching staff, the first few weeks, I know this that way in college, and the research I've done is that way in the NFL because everybody spends their off season. If it's an established staff, they're always trying to find new things and new ways to do things, and then obviously if it's new coaching staff, there's a complete newness to offense, defense, and kicking. So you have to be somewhat prepared for the unknown, but there's also great tendencies. When you look, for example, at the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith is pretty standard what he does, and by the way, he's really good at what he does. It's very, There's certain defenses you face, they're all over the planet. He's not. They believe in great effort, great technique, creating turnovers, and stopping what you do well. And that's been his history. I coached against him when he was at Illinois, and then our other coaches have coached against him and done his research. So that's the kind of stuff you look for.
Urban, we know about your attention to detail. You talked about it earlier this week, and the plans and the tip sheets, dotting the I's, crossing the T's and everything. How much of an adjustment is that for your assistant coaches that maybe have not worked with you before to get used to your method of preparation? And at what point do you put it down and say, you know what, we're ready for 1:05 p.m. on Sunday?
I think it was an adjustment. I think you'd have to ask our coaches, but it's, I believe in doing things a certain way. And, I don't want to say it's maybe a lot different than the NFL, but from what I witnessed, it has been. I've learned a lot from our former players. I want to make it user-friendly. When I hear, well, he's a pro, Brandon Linder is a pro, so is Andrew Norwell. But DJ Chark, LaVisca, James Robinson, and then all our rookies, those guys are young players. They're young players, so I don't want to hear a whole lot about, well, they're pros. Yes, they're pros and they get paid for what they do, but it's our job to have them ready and make it, I use the term, user-friendly.
One of the things that I'm most looking forward to, your young quarterback, you watch him out throughout the preseason, you see how he handles himself. You hear some of the glowing comments coming from you, Urban, from your coaching staff, that he's ready for this. That's got to be an exciting moment to be able to coach a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence in his first game ever.
Yeah, so excited, and I was very excited to see him. We all were against Dallas. The first game we just didn't play much. We didn't do much, and I think he only got 2 series. And then really disappointed against the Saints, not with Trevor, just overall. We didn't move the ball. We were 3 and out. We tried to establish the run and didn't. And then, it's amazing. One thing I'm still getting used to is how fast these games go. You only get 60-some plays. The clock, it seems like it never stops. So we really worked hard to get him success against the Dallas Cowboys, and he did. And he felt good about himself. That position is so unique. You guys know that. You got to get some confidence. You got to get some rhythm in a quarterback.
Oh, so important for him to gain the confidence that I'm sure that he did in Dallas. One of the things I think that's curious is that a lot of people thought maybe with Trevor Lawrence you would see kind of some of that Clemson offense, the read option, taking advantage of some of his mobility and incorporating that into his offense, especially the first year in the National Football League to help that adjustment period. And many people question, would you do that because it exposes him to more injury? What's your thoughts on that?
The good thing about the spread option that we've done so long, and so is Clemson, there's ways to do it so he's not running, and it's called RPOs and reliefs. And he's had some success against Dallas. Some of the quick throws you see, like the LaVisca, that is nothing more than read option football, only instead of running, it's throwing. So, yeah, we're very leery. I've had a history of if we have a runner, which, by the way, Trevor would be a phenomenal runner, but he's also, the first pick in the overall draft. So, Shad, I'd probably get a phone call from Shad saying, what the heck you doing? So I don't see many direct runs, but, yeah, we're going to utilize what he does well and try to keep him out of harm's way.
Head coach Urban Meyer with us on the Urban Meyer Show. All 5 offensive linemen available this week, and, it's been a talking point all offseason. Everybody's back, so there's got to be confidence in them, especially in the run game, and then moving forward on this offensive line, a real strength of this offense.
Yeah, top 6, actually. Barch has really come on. When Andrew Norwell went down, that was a little bit of a blessing in disguise because, Andrew, who played for me at Ohio State, he's a veteran player. He's been in the league a long time, and to have a good, solid backup there, he really developed over the last 3 weeks. So we feel very good about the top 6. I actually talked to the offense line. We made a decision, Trent and I, to go with them. And, there was some pushback. I remember people asking, and at times the offense line did not play great last year. But in a lot of positions they didn't play great. So I don't believe it was bad players. I don't believe it was bad coaching. They just didn't play very well. So we've got to get that fixed. And as far as what we're asking of them, they've been really good since we've been here.
Urban will come back in a moment and flip it around to the defensive side, if you don't mind. Plenty more ahead with head coach Urban Meyer. It's the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight.
Liftoff.
When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DG Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh. She's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to TitosVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. TitosVodka.com.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the trucks of the future for everyone. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 44 years straight. Built for performance and capability on and off-road. Because the trucks of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford F-Series. Drive one today. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
And welcome back. This is the Urban Meyer Show. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman and head coach Urban Meyer. The Jaguars and the Houston Texans coming up at 1:05 officially Eastern Time at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. It's Week 1 kickoff weekend. And, Coach, it's time to unleash this Jaguars revamped defense. Joe Cullen is in his first opportunity as a defensive coordinator. You've known him for a long time, though. And he talked today about the different packages and different personnel groupings that are available and options for this Jaguars defense. I'm curious, as an offensive-minded coach yourself, how challenging is that for the opposition to prepare for so many packages and groupings that a defense can throw out?
Well, that was one of the reasons I hired Joe. Joe, I respect him as a coach, and I really thought I wanted him on our staff. I knew I wanted him on our staff. I've always studied the Baltimore Ravens defense. I have great respect. You look at the lineage of who's coached in that defense over the years, tremendous coaches. And their style is very hard to prepare for, like you just said. Many different blitz packages, personnel groupings, and you'll see everything. And then I interviewed Joe, and typical, you don't want to stereotype people, but typical D-line coaches are really, they live in a box. They live in that defensive front, but they don't really understand the whole defense. And he kind of blew myself and Chris Ash was in the interview as well, and blew us away as far as his knowledge of that defense. And that's the defense I wanted. So we went with them, and to answer your question, it's very difficult.
Urban, this week you're facing a Texans offense that when you just look at the roster, anytime a team's got 5 running backs on the active roster, you probably can expect one thing. They're going to come out and try to run the football against your defense.
That's one of our strengths, though. The one thing you look at what consistently happened in the preseason is we stopped the run. for 3 straight games. You know, we do it a variety of ways, and number one is we load the box. So we're going to put a lot of pressure on our corners, and that's one of the reasons we went out and got Tyson in the draft, Tyson Campbell, and Shaq Griffin in free agency, and then we got Rayshon Jenkins. We had to rebuild that back end of our defense, and because we knew that the style of defense we're going to play, there's going to be a lot of pressure on those guys.
They've got a veteran quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. He hasn't had a whole lot of starts recently. What do you see from him, and what do you expect from him? Do you go back and obviously break down the film when he was a starter at Buffalo, maybe even a little bit of film from the preseason when he was with the Chargers? Because there's plenty of film to watch on him. You just might have to go back quite a few years.
Yeah, it's ironic. I watched a lot of the Buffalo because I interviewed a coach from that staff back when Tyrod was exceptional. I mean, had great success. It was true spread offense, and that's what scares me because I know what athletic quarterbacks can do. You know, they have not run him as much of late. He's a little older now than he was with the Buffalo, but he is a guy that I've always had tremendous respect for. And any time a guy can hurt you with his legs, that's just historically in college and pro, that's a tough guy to defend. He can do both, run and throw.
Yeah, watching the last preseason game that he played in, there were a couple plays where he extended the play, got outside the pocket, ended up running, but he's been a guy that's been hurting people in the past by extending plays. And he had one play in particular, and I'm not sure if you would remember it, Urban, where he gets pressure from a little ET game on his right side, and he gets pressure from the right tackle getting pushed into his lap. He actually jumps back, lands on his right leg, somehow ends up going all the way to his left, and I just went to myself, there's not many people that are athletically on this planet that can do that.
He actually looked like he got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I saw the play too, and I slowed it down. I thought, you know, most people would probably – JP would probably blow his ACL out there. But he rallied back and made a play, and so that's what scares you. And that's where your discipline of your defensive line, you hear this quite often, stay in your rush lanes. You know, there's certain quarterbacks that are statues, and you can lose contain, and this guy, you cannot do that. You got to stay in your rush lanes.
Urban, tell us about Josh Allen so far and your interactions with him and his preseason. And now it is a big year for Josh, now going to year number 3 for him as an NFL football player.
Well, we're fortunate, you know, and that's why I've told Shad that one of the most appealing places, the core players are good players and they're even better people. And Josh Allen checks the box. He's a great father, a great husband. He wants to be in Jacksonville. He wants to be coached. He was 245 pounds. Now he's 261, 262. He's strong. He's healthy. Obviously, he had that 2-week COVID where he had to sit out for 2 weeks, which, you know, once again might be a blessing where he's fresh. You know, he's ready to go rock and roll. But the correlation between work ethic, talent, and being a great person, pretty high probability this guy's going to be a great player.
Urban, I thought, you know, you talk about Josh and you talk about great family, et cetera, and got a chance to see the video which was released on Jaguar social media where you named the captains, and I thought it was such a unique way to let the players on your roster know who the captains were by involving their families. I thought it was awesome. Where does that come from in your history, and where did you come up with that idea of involving the family? Because I think it made it an incredibly special moment for the family and the players.
We like to involve our families, and I hire people around our organization, and Amy Palcic, who you guys know very well, in charge of our communications and PR. She came to me, and she knows how I am about this. A lot of people get into coaching for a lot of reasons, and I do it because of relationship with players. And I hear, well, the NFL, it's a business, and it certainly is a business. I get that. But the minute that player becomes, you know, number 41 to me instead of Josh Allen, I'm out of coaching. I don't want to do that anymore. I like to get to know their families. I like to know Caitlin, and he just had a baby a couple months ago, and that's what we're all about here in Jacksonville. But that was Amy Palcic's idea, and the players loved it.
Let's come back in a moment. One final segment with head coach Urban Meyer. A little game management conversation going into Coach Meyer's NFL regular season debut. It's the Urban Meyer Show on Jaguars Radio.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
A lot has changed in 60 years, but there's one thing that remains the same. Our commitment to our customers and to our community. There's no place like Jacksonville, and there's no place like Gate. Thank you for allowing us to serve you, past, present, and future. Now through August 31st, Jags fans can enjoy 2 of your favorite roller grill items for just $2 at participating Gate locations. Get them while they're hot. Gate, serving up more.
Scrubbing soon to a location near you. You know and love the Scrubble Stars at the Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. Now get ready for 4 new locations scrubbing soon this year, featuring Kernan, San Jose, Racetrack Road, and Oakleaf. Give your car the glitz and glam it deserves at the best car wash in town with free car prep, vacuums, window cleaner, and more. You can also catch us at every Jags home game and cool down at the Scrubby's Misting Arch. Drive in to see us now and in the future at our Scrubbing Soon locations. Scrubbles, trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive.
At ViStar, we believe in better convenience, so members can bank any way they want, whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 surcharge-free ATMs across North America. Because we believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. Visit ViStarCU.org. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Fans like you have been told that going all out is going too far. But fans like you know better. You're the kind of fan who loves the team as much as your pet, who paints yourself for game days and dyes your pet's fur to match. You are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and diehard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too. The official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
This is Ice-T,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
Matty Ice.
This is a cold call.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
Welcome back. The Urban Meyer Show continues along the Jaguars Radio Network.
And the Urban Meyer Show is presented by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman and head coach Urban Meyer on the Urban Meyer Show, the first of the 2021 campaign. The Jags and the Texans coming up this Sunday a little after 1 o'clock at NRG Stadium in Houston. Where is your nervousness, anxiety level right now? We're a few sleeps away from kickoff, Urban.
I'd put it on the 7-8 scale. You know, when it gets a little closer, it'll be a 9.5, 9.8. But I'm all built upon what kind of practice we had, and you got me in a good mood today because we had an excellent practice. Cloud cover came over. I just got done talking to Brandon Linder, and I remember that from the Gainesville days. How was your practice? Well, when it's 81 and cloudy, it's much better than when it's heat index 112. So it was a really good day. Attitudes were good. Execution was actually pretty good too.
Urban, one of the things that I think is always continuous, whether it's high school, college, the pros, opening day, or the opening kickoff weekend, always kind of as a player, a little hyped up sometimes. And as a coach, I'm sure you've experienced that as well. How do you try to help your team manage that to where it doesn't affect their play early in a ball game?
Well, I'm not an expert at other sports, but football is the one sport where energy is actually really good. You know, golf and, some other sports that we know it's you can't attack baseball and golf like that. But football is kind of an energy-driven sport, so I've never really let it go. Just be smart. Our whole philosophy and culture is built on 4 to 6 A to B plus 2. So with that comes some mistakes once in a while. But I really believe, and so does our organization, effort overcomes mistakes. We're going to be an effort-based team, and that involves energy. So, I hope we're coming out of our shoes, to be quite honest with you.
One thing that doesn't require energy, it requires a little bit more brain power. A little different for you at the pro level. You got to figure out who's going to wear one of the jerseys on game day. How has that been for you this week and trying to look ahead and to, I guess you would say, game plan, who's going to be active? And I'm sure special teams has got to be a huge part of that.
Well, that's something I've spent an inordinate amount of time on for the last, year and 8 months now, and that was just studying roster management. And Trent has been awful helpful, and so is Nick Sorensen, our special teams coordinator, and Joe and Bevel, our two coordinators. So that's going to be – we got it down to about 2 or 3 guys now, really just 2, that we have to make a final call on here tomorrow, and that's who, it depends how practice goes. But, when you start saying 53, that's small enough, and then, oh, by the way, you got tap 5 guys on the shoulder and say they can't play. So much goes into that, health of team, the style of offense, defense you're playing, and then most importantly, in my mind and our organization, is special teams value.
And then you add on top of that your 16 members of the practice squad, which you can dip into. That probably even, I don't want to say complicates it more, but it certainly adds to the equation.
It does, but it just it's got to be very intentional about how you go about your business. Is there premium placed on special teams here in Jacksonville? That's a capital yes. Underline it, bold it, and we're going to be good on special teams. And how do you do that? You have to have players with value dressing.
Urban, you've discussed this a little bit in the preseason, and we're going to see it live for the first time. The game management of the NFL experience here, 2-minute drills, the challenge flags, the hash marks are different. Have you covered all those bases? Are you confident in the operation of the coaching staff and everything in those regards for the game?
We have a very good system set up here. One I inherited, Zach, who works in our staff, was in charge of the challenge flag, and he's really elevated himself to be very responsible. I've met with him many, many times. We actually have practiced it several times. That's one of the reasons I put Darryl Bevel upstairs, because it's a quiet environment. I've done this long enough to know that on the field, it's loud, it's chaotic, there's people everywhere, especially, you have to have someone in a controlled environment that has their hand on things and help you. And that's going to be Darryl Bevel, and that's going to be Zach. They're both upstairs in a quiet environment. And obviously I got to make the decisions, but the analytics piece, they're firing it across the headsets as we're going, And we've practiced it, 3 games. We haven't had to do much in the 3 games, but we've actually been rehearsing over the headsets.
Urban, great stuff. We appreciate the time, and we'll catch you again after the game, after hopefully a win in Houston in Week 1, and good luck to you.
Yeah, great to be with you guys. Take care.
Head coach Urban Meyer joining us on the Urban Meyer Show, the first edition of the 2021 campaign, and I was excited going into it now, and now we're really ready to go to Houston in Week 1.
It's fun listening to him to talk about how so much goes into it, because when you think about it, there's a famous clip that I always kind of go back to at this time of year, and I'm a huge NFL films junkie. Love the history of the game, and it's Bill Parcells telling his offensive line at the bench that that's why you guys lifted all them weights. This is why you guys did all that. He'd use some expletives, okay, and said this is what it's all about. And that's what this. There's been a lot of work that a lot of people have contributed to this organization and around the league to make things happen, because here on tonight for the Bucs and the Cowboys, and then also on Sunday, this is when it counts. This is when they start keeping score.
It's for real. And, let's be quite honest with you. There's a lot of folks that are like, what is he doing? Going to the NFL. It's a little bit of a risk, a big risk.
Hey, look,
a lot of guys don't perform
competition
well.
is competition.
That's what it is.
And that's what it's about. And then when you love a game and you want to play in a game and you want to compete in a game, it doesn't matter where it is, JP. If me and you are playing checkers, let's go. It's time to be competitive, man. Let's go.
According to Urban, I better not jump up and down during that checkers game. I might tear an ACL.
Oh, you would in a minute. On that play, you would have had no chance of having your knee intact. I can tell you that.
Right.
Tyrod Taylor's a different athlete now, and it's going to be interesting to watch how the reception is in Houston too, because they've undergone quite a bit in the offseason. How will the fans end up embracing their team? How will they embrace the situation with Tyrod Taylor? That's going to be, I think, a point of curiosity for me.
That's a great question you posed earlier. Where is Deshaun watching the game? Is he in the booth upstairs? Is he down the field?
I guarantee you this.
Home?
I guarantee this. They're not going to show him on the Jumbotron or the big video screen inside Reliance Stadium or NRG Stadium, whatever it is now.
Yeah, I mean that is.
They're trying to make that
storyline.
story kind of just stay by the wayside.
Well, it's going to be there until it's not there anymore. That's how that's going to be. But no matter if they show them or not, that is the story of the Texans, at least early in the season. And hopefully the Jaguars can go in there and take advantage and get a win as they start off this 2021 campaign. A lot of new, of course. You heard from Urban Meyer just there. Trevor Lawrence making his NFL debut. This brand new Jaguars defense, pretty much revamped.
JP, this seriously, I mean, it's one of the biggest moments in franchise history when you take out the playoff games that I was a part of a couple of them, okay? When you have a franchise quarterback that has the potential, this is one of the biggest moments in franchise history. I mean, this is a moment that I'm certainly anxiously looking forward to, and I can't wait to watch him play because I think he's as prepared as he's ever going to be.
Get ready for the game on Sunday. Visit Jaguars.com for all the latest news and information on Jaguars football. The official Jaguars podcast network will have this show archived in just a little bit, actually. And, of course, all the shows throughout the week. The Ozone podcast coming up tomorrow with defensive tackle Malcolm Brown. And that'll do it. Our thanks to head coach Urban Meyer for joining us tonight. For Jeff Lageman, Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, our entire production crew, I'm JP Shadrick. We'll catch you next time. It's the Urban Meyer Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.